Legends. How is everybody doing? Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button. On your way in, we're going to be analyzing the situation here for the price of Bitcoin and the drop warning, okay? The major drop warning that has extremely low probabilities at the moment. And we are going to be explaining why in today's live stream, guys, okay? So this is the drop warning that actually has low probabilities for the moment. And we are going to be explaining that on the stream today, guys. Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button because we'll be going through the different scenarios that could happen, okay? What are the scenarios locally? Most importantly, where can we find those day trading opportunities? I have to say we are in a long position in the Legends trading community. Very locally, you might spot where it is. I'm also long from lower. This is only a scalp day trade. Let's see if it plays out. Hopefully it does. Let's analyze the situation here together though, okay? We're going to do a little bit of an overview of this range, which is getting very choppy, right? We got new information from the rejection yesterday. Whoever got into this short, okay? Have to say, okay, very good, very good. Got into the short. Make sure to take some profits eventually because The movement that we have created to the downside, it is getting very, very choppy. I know we were leading on the possibility of forming this ABC just a few days ago. This could be looking impulsive. We could see an ABC movement here. You know, we got the rejection. However, this rejection is not looking too great right now, right? We were talking about this on yesterday's stream. We're kind of in the middle of the range. We want to see the price dropping pretty heavily if we were starting to reject, if this were to be a three-wave end of a correction. And the price, there's still the option. I have to say, there's still the option. And we need to talk about that option today and what we need to see on the price, you know, to be a little bit confident on, you know, maybe getting into this short position, right? So overall in long positions from the last few days, in a long from here, in a new long here today, as well as a scalp, okay? It's basically a double bottom, right? It's a liquidity grab, right? It's this wick right over here. Not much of a movement. We're looking for a 1 to 1.5% of a movement, all right? It's a scalp. It's a day trade. But long from lower, as well as I am, you know, I am interested in the bullish case scenarios, right? The bullish case scenario that we have been talking about, you know, this is still very much possible, especially how the price is developing right now. It doesn't look too impulsive. It doesn't look like the bears are stepping in here, guys. Where are the bears? Where are the bears? The bears have run, you know, they've run away. We're in bull market. No time for bears. They're getting wrecked, right? You can short the market. Just make sure to get out in time, okay? Let's go. Let's say hello to the beautiful community and we'll analyze the situation, right? Do we have that drop warning? Well, yeah, we still have that scenario that we've been talking about throughout the last few days. We still have the bullish case scenario eventually as well, looking at the correction and looking for the momentum to continue to the upside, right? Basically this scenario right over here. Yeah, we could still be part in this wave right over here. We formed a multiple 1-2. Maybe this is still very possible. So we're going to be analyzing the situation here together, all right? I want to see that like button getting absolutely destroyed, my legends, because if no like button, then no analysis, right? Let's keep it that way. And I'm going to go through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community. All right. Oriel, my man. Down we go, says Thunga. Yeah, you know, we do have that idea that down is possible. We do have more information throughout this range. And maybe we're going to continue the range, right? Because all of this does look very three-wavy. You got a three-wave right over here. You got a three-wave potentially right over here on that original idea of the flat that we mentioned a few days ago also, right, that this could be a flat, right? And we do get that movement to the downside. However, we took the highs. So it's packed with three-wave structures, kind of development. We had a three-wave corrective structure right over here. And what does it mean where we have, you know, if we do have lots of three waves, that ultimately we could be, you know, getting into a larger range, which eventually would be bullish, okay? So the bears had to kind of step in aggressively in this pivot to overall, you know, come with the original narrative here of this could be it, guys, where the bears go down. We are day traders. I can tell you that I am bearish and bullish every single day, right? Because we are focusing on the range and we're focusing in the local scenarios, right? You know, I do see the bearish possibility, but I'm in a long today. So, hey, surprise, surprise, right? We look for intraday setups, right? I don't become extremely bearish or I don't become extremely bullish. I really look to study the local price action, as you do know, right? If you are a legit follower. So let's, no like, no analysis. No like, no analysis. That is correct, my man. Okay, so let's get that like button pumping here, because if not, I'm going to end up the stream right now, legends. Come on. No, yeah, I'm finishing right now if we don't get that like button absolutely mooning. Sarah K, good evening. How are you? Abdul, my man. The market is sort of trading sideways on a shorter time frame. That is correct. That is correct, my man. It is trading sideways. And the more sideways we go, the more bullish it is. Okay, the more bullish it is. And I'll explain why today. The more sideways we go, the more I have that idea that it's going to continue up, guys, right? I mean, if I do zoom out and we do take a look at the general trend, you know, hey, we are pretty bullish here, right? the trend is overall extremely bullish. That's something that we need to take into consideration. I know that this does look exciting for the bears. The bears must be having a, hey, bears are getting extremely excited right now, especially when you do take a look at the previous bull run. However, if we were to double top in this zone, we are finishing very early this cycle, right? Several months before, right? Usually the cycles end up after at the end of the year, basically, right? Let's say November, December. In 2017, it was December. In 2021, it was November. So if we finish now in May, it's like, yeah, would it make sense? Would it make sense? But, very, very similar price action to this. But come on, guys. It is bull market. We need to accept it. Could we get a larger corrective move throughout the next coming weeks before going to higher levels? Absolutely, yes. But we're not here to look at the higher time frame. We are here to zoom in on the lower time frame and analyze this structure over here. That's where we are getting the opportunities, right? This is where we look for our day trading scenarios, right? We could turn a little swing trade, swing short positions. I would say if you did short from that swing failure pattern of yesterday, it's definitely worth leaving some open, guys, here, okay? It's definitely worth leaving a little bit open, maybe 20%, maybe 30%. Take some profits. We are in bullish market, okay? Structure overall on the higher time frame. But, if this were to be the top, you can be very defensive, right? You can run a free trade. Come on. We do not get wrecked here if you are a follower of the channel, right? Wrecked is not possible, right? We manage risk. What is wrecked? I don't know what wrecked is for many, many years. You should know also. You should know better. So it's all, let's talk about the analysis in this range and stop talking BS, please. All right. I'm going to go and dive in through the analysis of today. We're going to keep it relatively simple for the viewer, I hope. First of all, comment section. Let's get those likes rolling in. Hello, brother. Moonphase, how are you doing? Mengai, how are you? Shout out from PH. 𝗖𝗿𝗆𝗿𝗁. Can we get to 114K at the moment? Very possible, okay? Bullish case scenario, it does not look too bad. It actually looks a little bit better than the bearish case because of this new information that we have from yesterday's drop, right? Yesterday, we were like, yeah, if we move down very aggressively in a 5-wave structure, it's going to be looking good for the bearish case scenario that we were talking about a few days ago, right? Analyzing how the price action could develop in the coming days since we created the first potential A wave here. But this drop is not looking too good. The drop hasn't got any power. It hasn't got any big aggressive movements to the downside as of yet, right? Could this be a contracting diagonal to the downside? This is something that we are going to be discussing here throughout the stream. Could this be a cheeky contracting diagonal where we get a 3-wave structure, very choppy here to the upside? We form bearish CVD divergence. We start hitting the golden pocket and the previous day point of control, right? And then, this could be a zone where the price could really struggle, all right? Previous day point of control, right? When we get the session volume profile or the market session profile, it doesn't matter. Previous day point of control is sitting here just under the golden pocket, sitting under the all-time high of January, of this year. So this is going to be the zone of interest to see if the market gets some choppiness, right? And potentially get a drop. But it's looking quite okay for the bulls, right? There are several scenarios of this range continuing, which I want to talk about throughout the stream, right? Just because it's packed of 3 waves, the drop to the downside is, we had a 3-wave structure here, literally, right? It could be a 3-waver, it could be a 5-waver and a contracting diagonal, okay? So this is the moment where we're going to be talking about the potential setups, right, to come. In a long position with the Legends trading community from this double bottom right there, this was basically, this analysis right over here, okay? We were just analyzing with Aiden. Shout out to Aiden, one of the coaches in the Legends trading community, talking about this possibility move. We're really focusing on the lower time frame. It would be nice to get a sweep over the lows for a swing failure pattern, and also, almost scratching the 7/8 Fibonacci from this pivot low to the pivot high, looking for a swing failure pattern from these lows to ultimately get this recovery. And this is a long trigger right over here with stop loss at the low. Eventually, right now, we want to start protecting position because we are hitting the previous day value area low, right? And the daily open, we're kind of trying to break above it, right? When we do take a look at today's levels, you got the daily open and the previous day value area low, which is, this is resistance. If we are longing from this range, this is a moment to protect position. We're going to hope that it's going to break. It makes sense for the price to break up. This is why we're maintaining this scalp position. Even though this is resistance, if you're in a long position, when you're hitting the previous day value area low and the daily open, right? We're above the VWAP at the moment, so that's a good sign. We're trying to get above the VWAP, but that previous day value area low, where we have, that high volume node, as you can see right over here, that's what's struggling, right? We have struggled today at this zone for quite a bit. But when we analyze this structure and analyze the internal waves, we understand that, we want to catch the bottom here because a bounce is very, very possible, right? This is why, with the legends, we are in a long position from this double bottom scenario here, expecting this kind of momentum. So I would say right now that, I'm expecting a breakout regardless if we get a correction and then move up. I do think that we have a high chance here in getting a movement to the upside, right? And, I am targeting the point of control. This doesn't mean that this is a good long because we are at resistance at the moment. Value area low, the daily open. So, with this structure, it does look like that we could get that push to the upside. And this is very, very locally. The moment where it's going to become interesting is this area, right? This area will be interesting for the bulls. Preferably they do, start, moving up very aggressively from this zone. But this is a rejection zone. Previous day point of control with the golden pocket. We love the golden pocket. It's the best level ever, right? From the highs to the lows. This is the area where the price could get a, major reaction, have some problems here to go to higher levels. It's also the all-time high from January, which you really look at a back test, right? We did have a back test here in this range. We talked about the short position here, double top. We talked about this double top right there. We said whoever got into this short, make sure to take profit. That was the overall, a discussion from a few days ago. We were looking for a double top here in this zone to get that correction, maybe get the next leg to the upside. So, this was back testing the all-time high from January. We are going to be taking a look at the overall slightly higher time frame, guys, and talk about the many scenarios that could develop, right? If this were to be, anyway, let's go through the lower time frame. If this is to be true, the analysis that we talked about throughout the last few days, that for the moment this wave came to fruition, this one also came to fruition. It would be nice to get slightly higher, have to be honest here, but regardless, this is how the price moved with this original analysis that we had a few days ago, right? This is one scenario, and obviously the bullish case scenario as well. But if the bears wanted to really take control, we should be getting some aggressive drops. And if this were to be the high of this bearish case scenario, right? ABC movement to the upside, we want to see some kind of an impulse here, which is not the case, right? It's not the case. The new information that we have in the last few hours is not giving us a clear impulsive move to the downside. It's giving more of a clear, three-wave structure, if you ask me. And if we have a three-wave structure here, we could be forming all sorts of different movements in the next coming hours, couple of days. It could be still very rangy. And I want to talk about a few of them that could develop. Of course, with those movements, we do have some trading setups. Remember, these are high probability trading setups that we do share on the channel. Okay, we only want to share high probability trading setups, right? If we do see this as a leading move to the downside, the only idea that I do have, right? Let's just clean the chart a little bit. The only idea that I do have here is some kind of a contracting diagonal. There's really no other kind of way here to really look at this as a leading move apart from a contracting diagonal, right? It looks more 3-wavy than a 5-waver. If you are going to be labeling this as a 5-wave leading move to the downside, it has to be looking something like this, which doesn't look good at all, if you ask me, right? It doesn't look a proper 5-wave structure. Could it be? Absolutely, yeah, possibly. You know, there is that possibility, even though it doesn't look good. So after, you know, if this were to be that leading move to the downside, right? It does, you know, there is a valid impulsive move here with the counts, and you do have that 3-wave corrective structure here, right? If this were to be the top, either of your second wave of the B or the B wave, you want to see the price really pushing down here with some kind of volume and some aggressive momentum. That's not the case. We formed this choppiness, which is, you know, not looking that impulsive, that bearish, right? It's not looking that bearish. So it's going to be very interesting if the price does manage to move up here. We got some major levels. Okay, major level is that point of control from yesterday of this range, right? This range has a point of control. It's from yesterday's price action. We have the golden pocket in that zone, slightly above. If we were to move in a kind of a 3-wave structure in the next coming hours, we start getting some very aggressive bearish CVD divergence. We could take this into consideration. I don't like too much this move, I have to be honest here. Looks very messy. It does look more of a 3-wave move to the downside. But we need to give, you know, we need to talk about the bearish case scenarios. We need to talk about the bullish ones, and the bullish ones look more attractive for the next coming days, right? This is like this is right now, it looks low probability. Looks low probability. And this is why the drop warning, you know, the drop warning is decreasing in probabilities right now, right? This is why, you know, we have that thumbnail and title drop warning. The warning is that the drop is potentially has low probability based on the new information that we had, because we needed to see from yesterday's rejection some pretty interesting bearish momentum. This is not interesting bearish momentum. It's very, very, you know, it's just not. It's not very bearish at all, right? It's very, very corrective by the looks of things. So eventually, this scenario right over here is losing power, guys, right? It's losing power. This is why new information on the chart is very much important to really know what has higher probability. Still maintaining some of the long position here. I'm in a nice little scalp day trade long position here from this double bottom with the legends. You know, for me, there's no long at the moment because we are at resistance. I do understand that it's very likely that we do go to higher levels from this zone. So in this exact area, there's really not for me a short or a long, even though I see the higher probability of getting that movement up to 109.6, maybe even 110K, right? But obviously, if you do get into a long position, it's a matter of your risk management, right? You know, getting into putting a stop loss here and entering right now, you know, you got a 1-to-1 risk reward. It's kind of not worth it. But in the Legends trading community, that was the overall, you know, analysis of today, where we are looking for this scenario. We are looking for the price to sweep up this low and then look for the bounce to the upside, right? This is literally where we got that swing failure pattern, and we are targeting here the 109.6K zone, which is that previous day point of control, expecting a breakout from the daily open and the previous day value area low. This is literally where we at right now. So the overall idea of today's setup was this one right over here, as you can see on the chart. So this scenario is not looking too great. Let's be honest. You know, we're trying to find a bearish case, right? And we need to find a bearish case. You can not only be extremely bullish or extremely bearish. I need to have both scenarios. And when we draw and we, you know, structure both scenarios, we can say, this actually doesn't look too great for the bearish case. This thing doesn't move. This doesn't look good, right? It doesn't look great looking at the structure that we developed throughout the last 24 hours. So what other structures could we be developing, right? We need to take into consideration that if we were to see this coming to fruition, your wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, we drop down, or wave C, right? A, B, C, going with the you know, original scenario that we mentioned the last few days. The best zone to check the reaction is in this area. This is the best area to really analyze very carefully if the price is going to get a rejection. Of course, we'll be talking about the bullish case scenarios eventually, which is, you know, taking out the highs. But yeah, we're going to have to be, you know, very, very cautious. There will be a confirmation moment if this is actually going to be the scenario that plays out, okay? Instead of trying to short in this area, I would like to see some confirmation. You know, I would like to see the price really moving up to this zone. You get the reaction and you get your first initial drop, right? Preferably in that kind of 5-wave structure, right? Where you're just looking for the bounce later on and then maybe jump into that short. Then we could arguably discuss that we're forming a double 1-2 to the downside and then we drop, okay? So we need more information to be confident on the short. You know, I don't have confidence in the short throughout the last couple of days. It just doesn't look too great. It doesn't look too great for the price to roll over. So yeah, we'll be discussing a little bit of the different scenarios that could get developed, you know, that could develop throughout the next coming days, and we'll try and spot some of those setups. Okay. You know, the clearest one that we had a couple of days ago was that double top. You know, I did hope that some people did manage to get this little scalp, this little day trade scalp position, right? Nice short double top. It was very clear a few days ago that this had the highest probability because we were looking at this to be a finished impulse, right? A finished impulse to the upside, and also look for this kind of a corrective move, regardless if we were going to be 1, 2, 3, you know, ABC or 1, 2, 3, right? The overall rejection from this zone, regardless if it was going to be bullish or the bearish one, was the clearest setup that we had just a couple of days ago. So yeah, we're going to analyze the situation here all together. Let's go through the comment section. We're going to pull out the different scenarios, how the price could develop, right? How the price action could develop. That's what we like to do. But first, comment section a little bit, as we do get that like button getting destroyed, legends. Let's see if we can get to 500 people. We can get at least to 200 likes. Come on, legends. If you do enjoy the analysis, we're going to talk about the different projections that could happen, okay? Smash the like button, says 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗍. Much love to you, brother. We are going to touch all-time high again and then dump to bear market. Wow, BX1 here with the bearishness. Ghost of Bricks, BTC weekly chart is Eve and Adam. Adam and Eve, weekly chart, Adam and Eve pattern, right? So a kind of a double bottom, Adam and Eve, or is it a double top, Adam and Eve? On the weekly chart, Adam and Eve, I'm not sure if you are saying Adam and Eve or for a double bottom or a double top. I would assume a double top, right? We had an Adam and Eve right over here, double top scenario, which broke down. This is where people are going to start speculating, right? That this is going to be that double top. Maybe test the highs again, because we did test the highs here again on the previous bull run, right? We did create that wick on the weekly, right? We did create that wick, as you can see. And then we moved up, We tested the highs again and then bear market. I don't think this is the situation here, guys, but overall, it's a possibility. Let's leave it that way. Let's leave it that way. Okay, so we do have that wick on the weekly closing beneath the all-time high of January. Could we have another wick to the upside and then move down to get a larger pullback? We go level to level here, right? All of this nonsense, you know, most of the channels are going to say bullish, 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 or bearish, bearish. We are really here to analyze where we can find the intraday trading setups, because this is where we make the money, right? Intraday, maybe a little swing trade of a few days, right? But we focus mainly on intraday setups, okay? So let's go right away through the different scenarios. Hello to everybody. Make sure to destroy that like. Let's go. We can see that like button getting over 200. Hey, Andy, thanks for the info, mates. You're very welcome, my man. We're going to analyze a little bit of the different movements that could happen. Maybe we are forming a big contracting triangle. Also a possibility. Andy, I am short from 110K. Already closed 50% in profits. Rest still running. Very good indeed. Very good indeed. Yeah, very good. That's the way how I want to see those traders in the comment section, right? Already in a short from that kind of double top scenario here from yesterday. Double top ABC, right? The overall, you know, analysis that we were talking about throughout the last few days. That's good, right? You're in a short, you took some profits, you are protecting, right? That's a very, very good trading setup. Very good with the you know, with your risk management. Let's leave it that way. Very good indeed. This is a kind of trade that you want to leave open. Huh? If the price decides to move in a three-wave structure here, it gets bearish CVDs, which we do have some pretty nasty bearish CVDs. We can take a look at that later on from this zone. It's definitely worth leaving some of the position open if you shorted in this area, you know, yesterday. Because if this plays out, then, you know, you're eventually going to be in a very, very good position, right? It's kind of worth having some of that short trade open as a swing trade, short, right? I think this is a WXY on the 4 hourly with one more leg down. Okay, WXY on the 4 hourly time frame. Wow, I'm not sure what WXY you're talking about. We need to talk about the potential structures that we could be forming here locally, okay? 200 likes done. Let's go. 500 likes. Yo, HBBBA, how are you doing? I always like instantly when I show up. Milan, much love to you. Anchored VWAP from all-time high resistance. I like it. We do have the anchored VWAP somewhere here. Yeah, this is acting as resistance. Very true. Very true. What is acting as resistance as well is the daily open and the previous day value area low. So yeah, we are struggling here right now with a resistance. It's not looking too great. I'm actually need to be protecting that long little scalp trade, stop loss at the low. You know, this is not worth turning into a losing trade. So we're going to put it at break even. But this is a you know, a scalp trade that we took today in the Legends trading community. Not interested in taking profits on that one. So yeah, guys, remember, if you are interested in trading weeks, bluffing, great platforms, okay, you do have a great bonus. You have the links down below. On bluffing, you get 15% cash back, okay? 15% cash back for trading. So if you deposit $10,000, you're going to get $1,500 on top of that, right? Up to $5,000. So you increase your trading capital, all right? You just need an email and a password to sign up on bluffing. Also for weeks, you get some great perks, okay? 20% deposit, up to $30,000 deposit bonuses, and 25% fee reduction, okay? You get all of that as soon as you sign up with the first link in the description or the second one, okay? They're both great exchanges. You can choose which one you want. You only require an email and a password to sign up, Legends. Now, the anchored VWAP is providing a bit of the resistance, and also what we do see is the previous day value area low. With today's daily open, it's not managing to break to the upside. So we do have that resistance here that is not helping. It's not helping. It would make sense for this you know, this is kind of reversal price action. It is really kind of a reversal price action, at least in the short term. Just like this right over here is reversal price action. If we take this price action, okay, right over here with the bars pattern, and we take a look at this price action over here, okay, and we invert it, it's very, very similar, right? It's very, very similar. Very, very similar. So it is reversal kind of price action, what we are forming here. This is why we were interested in the local double bottom today in the legends. So it is very, very reversal kind of price action, right? This is literally this inverted, right? So it would make sense for the price to have an attempt in breaking here, the daily open. This is what we're getting, resistance right there, right now. Today's open, previous day value area low, and the price is really struggling here at this zone, but it makes sense that the price could break it, especially with this kind of price action, right? We're trying to get above all that resistance. We got the anchored VWAP, as someone said in the comment section, from all-time high, anchored VWAP providing that resistance. But this is reversal price action, right? So it was worth getting into double bottoms here to get that squeeze up and attempt to break it. So let's just talk about the different scenarios, right? We're going to put a little bit Elliott wave theory here. Elliott wave theory, of course, does, you know, regardless of the local trading setups, right? Such as yesterday, the double top, or maybe an aggressive long position here at this order block, right? I'm not sure if anybody took this long position, but it was also a zone to bounce, right? We talked about this zone to bounce, regardless if this was going to happen or this was going to happen, right? You know, everything pointed out that we should be seeing a bounce here. And obviously you're targeting the highs regardless. You know, we're talking about shorts, we're talking about long in zones, more as a day trade setup. Right now we need to talk about whoever took the short, guys, as mentioned, somewhere in this zone. I wasn't too confident on the short here, but whoever took it, you eventually want to take profits when you're forming this kind of price action. Leave them open, be defensive, have some of that position open. Let's talk about the different scenarios on the higher time frame. Okay, I think it's about time to talk about how the price could develop between today and tomorrow. What development could we see? Right, and this does take time. It does take a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of brain power here to structure all the different scenarios, you know, that we were looking at throughout the last few days, and build up what could happen next with this new information that we have on the chart, which was the drop here. That doesn't look too aggressive. It looks a little bit more corrective, if you ask me, a little bit more corrective. You got this kind of reversal kind of price action, very similar to this, but inverted, right? Very, very reversal price action. So I am leaning on the high chance of getting that leg up here to 109.6, 110K, give or take. Has high probability at the moment locally, okay? You know, a movement up here has high probability very locally, but we're not interested in that. We're interested in how the price could move, right? So let's go with this first scenario. As mentioned, the movement down that we created in the last 24 hours is not looking too great, okay, for this to be a leading move. There is a way in looking at this as a possible contracting diagonal. Not the best looking one, I have to say, okay? Not the best looking one, but there is that chance. The only zone that I would want to see a big rejection, and I would be in doubt of getting into a short here, just because this looks more corrective. We'll be talking about the bullish case scenarios right away. This is going to be a dangerous short. Even though it's resistance, you got the all-time high of January. You got the point of control of yesterday, previous day point of control in that zone at 109.6.7. Also with a golden pocket. It's really not kind of worth for me getting into a short here. If we do move up very zigzaggy, we got massive bearish CVD divergence from the highs of yesterday. I will think about taking a short. Of course, the legends will be the first ones to know if I do get into a short position on the Discord. If you want to join that, it is the 5th link down below, guys. If you want to join the Discord, where we give, daily information, analysis, possible setups. But I think it's going to be a very risky short, even though it is resistance, because this movement down doesn't look too impulsive, and we have many different bullish case scenarios. So what would be best, of course, to jump into that short is you get the movement to the upside here in a 3-wave structure, and you move down in a 5-wave structure. If you have a 3-wave move here to the upside, and then the movement down is very impulsive, you got increase in volume in a 5-wave structure, then this could be looking very interesting. The bounce then could be be interesting, okay? Could be looking interesting to get that rollover. So yeah, I would want to wait for a rejection here. Big rejection. It's not going to be an easy short position, because we have many bullish case scenarios, which we are going to discuss right away. There is another bearish case scenario that we took a look here. The idea of this being an ABC flat, which, looked very good. The short idea here from the double top was very, very good indeed. But now, of course, the price action is extending. The price action is ranging, extending. We did not roll over from here impulsively, so we just continued the range, right? With this new information that we have, the only scenario that is possible, if this is going to be a contracting diagonal, and we do get this as an ABC flat, well, as we've had this price action, the only solutions that we have here for the bearish case is forming a larger WXY. There is a problem with this scenario, which I don't want to give it a little bit of too much attention, is that all of this is really extending in time. If all of this is going to be a correction from this movement to the downside, it's just taking a long time. It's taking a long time. So I don't want to give too much love to this scenario, because the timing compared from this movement down to all of this is just taking a long time. Okay, so we're not going to give this too much love. But regardless, for this scenario, several scenarios that could happen is a flat structure here on your wave Y. You kind of almost take out the low, or you take out this low, then you kind of form a double bottom. I would not be interested in this long personally here. It could be an interesting long. If we get the value area low, we might have the value area low. Yeah, the value area low of this entire range is sitting where we have the low of Monday, right? Tuesday, sorry. Yesterday's low. It could be a valid SFP, okay? It could be a valid swing failure pattern, just because we have the value area low. I would say, yeah, it might be a good long entry, just because, you get the reaction, liquidity grab, stop loss beneath the low. As you get that swing failure pattern, yeah, let's give it's a possible long, but just be defensive. If we do SFP from here, from yesterday's low, we do have quite a lot of liquidity sitting below us. Of course, we do have lots of liquidity above us. So, and we do have lots of bullish cases, okay, as well, that I want to talk about. I prefer the bullish case because, I am in longs. So there's lots of liquidity above yesterday's highs and even all-time high, right? Lots of liquidity, as we can see here. And the bullish case scenarios do look quite attractive, which we're going to explain. But there is liquidity also, right, at the lows, right? We do have that liquidity at the lows. So, yeah, there's more liquidity up. We don't really care about the liquidity. It's obviously nice to take into consideration that there is quite a lot of liquidity sitting above the highs of yesterday, an all-time high from this range of the last week. It is interesting, the amount of liquidity that we have in this area above 110k, right? 111k actually. So yeah, this long, I have to say, if the price does come down here and it does swing failure pattern, there is an interesting long, at least to the point of control of the range, right? This would be your TP1 at least. If we do swing failure pattern from the low, just because we have the value area low of the range, okay, it should be acting as support nicely. That's what's acting as resistance as well today. The point of control of the entire range, right? Or as support, you could argue discuss. It's just ranging in that point of control. Not much of a setup here in this choppiness. So that is one scenario here that you could be forming a flat, okay? If this were to be the bearish case, but we have a problem. This is really extending in time right now. You know, compared to your wave one, it is really being very, very long in time. You know, we're already crossing the 3.618. We're just about to cross the 4-to-1, 4 times longer than your wave one or wave A. It's just taking a little bit too long. And of course, that is decreasing the probabilities that we're looking at this, right? This structure. So I'm ending up talking about the situation because it's just on the chart, right? It would still be a valid scenario. And if we were to form a triangle in this zone as well, there's several scenarios. You form a triangle in this area, you know, then you finally break down A, B, C, D, E, and you break down. You could also form that flat. Very, very confusing price action, okay, for the general viewer, I know, but it's just a way that the price could move. And then this would be the movement down, right? You're literally waiting for your Y wave to be a flat, or it could also be a zigzag, right? Which is forming a higher low in this zone and moving up, claiming the highs again, and then getting the movement down, right? In this case, you would be looking for that ABC right over here, which I kind of would be interested in a short position still in this area, because we have that naked point of control from this consolidation that was not tapped yesterday. It's a big barrier, guys. You know, it's a big resistance level. We do have a lot of liquidity in this area, so it could be a liquidity grab zone. So this becomes a very attractive shorting zone if you swing failure pattern. So if the price doors manage to come up here to this zone, you know, it is a swing failure pattern area from yesterday's highs. You grab a lot of liquidity from this area. You got that naked point of control, which was front run yesterday. And then you start moving down aggressively, right? That would be the best, the best if you do get into that short position, right? That you do reject here very aggressively. So this becomes an interesting level to short. Remember, it's just that, it's a liquidity grab. You need to get the wick and then the rejection, and that's where you kind of get into the sniper trade, right? It's a swing failure pattern, stop loss above the high, and preferably the price does get a major dump. It would be the only interesting level here, just considering that this could be an ABC, and then the price gets the swing failure pattern and it starts dropping very aggressively. Interesting level, 110,800, sweeping up the highs of yesterday. Only if you swing failure pattern, it would become a valid trading setup. Entry, stop loss. You're hoping for the price to roll over if this were to be the correct count. So that becomes an interesting scenario, okay? Interesting level. Now, these are the only bearish case possibilities. The overall general bearish case that we had throughout the last few days, not looking too great. The information that we have from this drop is not looking too bearish. So yeah, we can see, regardless of both of the bearish case scenarios, that we are losing time here. In this case, this has lower probability because it's just taking a long time for the bears compared to your initial wave to the downside here. And this other scenario that we mentioned throughout the last few days, right, which is this one, we're not getting too aggressive to the downside here, right? The price action is not really pushing down, and that's a problem. This is why I'm saying whoever shorted in this zone, you want to take some profits because it's not looking too great for the bears. The drop warning is decreasing. The drop is decreasing in probabilities. This scenario, right, throughout the last few days is decreasing in probabilities. because of the movement down that we've had in the last 24 hours. And the movement up is increasing in probabilities. And that has to do with this new information that we have today. And the other bearish case scenario, which eventually is continuing the range in a WXY, is extremely long in time compared to your initial leading wave to the downside. So it's not looking too great for the bears here. And we are going to be talking about the bullish case scenarios, of course, right now. The general idea here as well from the last few days, which is, this scenario over here, looking at this to be a finished ABC, even though the C wave was very, very shallow. The idea of this is still valid, right? And of course, if we do have that first initial wave to the upside, which does look more impulsive, this does look impulsive. Regardless if we're looking at a short here, doesn't matter. The short was a day trade. It was a scalp. Get the movement down of 1,000, 1,500. Start getting out at the 38250%, guys. Start getting out from that trade, and you want to be defensive on that trade. It's a winning trade. This was mentioned on Monday, this trading setup, because our idea was we're going to get a bounce here, right? We're looking for a bounce on the rejection here. So whoever got into that short, eventually it's a scalp. It's a day trade. If we talk about the bullish case here, legends, then yeah, it does still look good, right? The overall idea when we were trading in this area from that live stream is this still valid? Well, eventually that is still valid, because what we would be looking at here is a 112, and this 112 looks very, very interesting. And the main reason why is because your second wave 1 and 2 is shorter in time and shorter in price action from your higher time frame wave 1 and 2. That's what you want to see, because this wave 1 and 2 should be part of that wave 3 here, right? And this would be eventually breaking out very aggressively, and in between today and tomorrow we would be expecting that kind of price action. So the bullish case looks pretty okay. This would be the most aggressive bullish case scenario. You have that finished 3-wave structure, and you have your wave 1, wave 2, your second wave 1 and 2. It is game on, guys. Game on, right? And this is where the price really needs to start pumping in the next coming hours, if this were to be the scenario, the correct scenario. This is why I am in long positions, right? Because I do believe that, we have a possibility on this scenario, right? Long from here, long from here. I do lean on the bullish case as well, right? We're day traders. Bullish case scenario at the moment looks more attractive, if I'm honest with you, because of the explanation that I gave you here throughout the last 20 minutes, right? So it's looking pretty good for the bulls, right? The drop warning, right? People are going to be, hating on the comment, right, in the comment section right now, later on the live stream, because we gave a drop warning. Bad news for Bitcoin. But the bad news is there is low probability for the bad news there, right? That is the drop warning. The warning is that there is low probability in the drop for the moment, right? And the battle here is increasing on probabilities for the bulls for the moment, right? Regardless if we drop or not, the probabilities right now lean in favor for the bulls, okay? As what I explained here from the bearish case scenarios that we talked about throughout the last few days, with the new information that we have, with this drop that we had, it's not looking too great for the bears, okay? So that extreme bullish case scenario, eventually, as a day trader, you would say, well, I'm going to long right now. I believe in the bulls. I believe that this scenario could be the one that plays out. And we are in the development of the wave 3. I longed the double bottom here, right? If you believe that scenario is very much possible and you want to get into the long position, your invalidation for this scenario is taking out this low. So do you want to enter a long here and put your stop loss here, and you're really, thinking that this scenario could happen, for me, I'm very, very selective with the trading scenarios, and I wanted to catch this double bottom because I want to be in and I want to be defensive. This was the overall general idea. If you are in the Legends trading community and you're watching this live stream, eventually this was the general idea of an intraday scalp that we had, which was looking for one more wave to the downside to sweep up this low right over here. And then you have, a protected trading setup, right? This is the general idea that we had today. Very high chance that we could get that low taken, and we're looking for a long. Let's hope that the price can break the daily open and the previous day value area low. This is where we are getting resistance, and the long intraday setup was the swing failure pattern of the local lows, right? Stop out all of those bulls because we had massive bullish CVD divergence here, and this was the setup. So this is not an interesting level to long, right? That's no doubt about it. This is not an interesting level to long. For me, it's not an interesting level to short, realizing that this could reverse. There is a valid count for a reversal here. So I'm not interested in any trading setups here in this area. I realize the breakout, and I realize the rejection because we are at resistance. Daily open, previous day value area low, and also the anchored VWAP from all-time high, right? Which would be this one right over here. Anchored VWAP from all-time high. Not even touching it just yet. We did touch it just today. So there's a lot of resistance here at the moment. But I believe that we're going to break out from it. I believe that this is going to be a corrective move, and that we will attempt to break out. That's that's my general bias here, right? That this will end up breaking out to the upside. So maybe this movement down could be interesting to analyze very, very carefully here, because this is very reversal price action. It's very, very reversal kind of price action here. So if we do correct down, this could be a moment that would be interesting for the long. Could be interesting for the long. The 618 Fibonacci from the low to the high, 7.8. I'm in that position and be protected. You could back test this level. If we do get that drop, we'll analyze this situation. So anyway, let's go through the other scenarios on the higher time frame. We ain't going to go to lower time frame here. We're trying to reserve that for the legends on Discord. So if we are leaning on this scenario right over here, interestingly enough, it's pretty curious how the market makers work here, right? Market makers are giving the chance for the bullish case, which is a multiple 1-2. This is your extreme bullish case scenario, where this is a double 1-2 and you move to the upside aggressively, potentially in the next 24 hours. And where we bounced from the lows to the highs here is the 7.8 Fibonacci, and from this low to the high also the 7.8 Fibonacci, which is kind of your limit zones for your wave 2s. So yeah, there is that chance here for the bulls without a doubt. And obviously you want to try and long at the lowest level possible. If this is what is the one, if this is the correct analysis, you want to try and get that 7.8 or the local double bottom, because preferably you want to catch this movement up, right? You want to catch the movement up, and the best way to manage risk is really getting at the lowest Fibonacci levels or looking for that local double bottom, right? Which is the case from the Legends update. Now, the other bullish case scenario is that we are going to be continuing the range. We are looking at this as an impulsive move to the upside. And all of this is a very long corrective move that will end up taking out all-time high, say, in the next coming days. And that is counting this three-wave structure as the idea, right, that we had as well. Here we had that three-wave ABC idea, and the price is very rangy throughout the last few days, right? We're just really taking out the highs, the lows, highs again. Now this movement down looks very choppy. It doesn't look like it wants to go anywhere. It's very, very rangy, and it's taking time. And as you have this three-wave structure to the downside, and another three-wave move to the upside, right, which would be this ABC. Well, what we need to consider right now is, hey, we do have a three-wave move to the downside, and we have a three-wave move to the upside. If we have a three-wave move down and a three-wave move up here, we could be forming some kind of a sideways momentum in this zone. And now the question is, of course, what kind of sideways momentum could we be forming here in this area throughout the next, give or take, 24 to 48 hours? And of course, if we were to be continuing the range, which you're going to have to be remaining patient here, guys, to really spot, get into the sweet spot, right? I didn't know if the price was going to do this and then down. I didn't know that this movement was going to happen. However, I did know it was a possibility on Monday when we were trading here at 110K zone, right? We got the movement down. We came up, took the highs. We didn't get to the naked point of control, I have to say. We didn't go that high. But I understood that this is how the price could develop in the next couple of days. So this is why, it does take a lot of effort for the people to say, my goodness, I just don't want to really go through all of this. But it's, if you want to be a trader and really have that overall general idea on how where you see the trading opportunities, all right, and where you have higher probability, you really need to sink this in, because it really gives you the really good setups. So the extreme bullish case scenario, which would eventually be a breaking all-time high with a significant move, and we are talking about $114,000, $115,000, is that all of this is part of a corrective move after this being an impulse. So, and this is where it's going to become interesting, right? I do not know if this is going to happen, but if we continue the range in the next 24 to 48 hours and we do not get the price action moving up or the price breaking down, then if we continue the range, we don't have much time for the price to take the the direction breakout. And if we do continue ranging throughout the next 24 hours to 48 hours, right, give or take 2 days, maybe 3 days, the probabilities incredibly increase to break out and take out all-time high, potentially with a large move. And that has to do because if this is a leading bearish move, the price really needs to start rolling over, right? Maybe in between today and tomorrow, if we get a little bounce here, then you want to start seeing the price breaking down, right? With that general idea that we had a few days ago, right? Which is this scenario. If we're going to start dancing around in this range, then we are looking at something else, right? We're extending in time and we need to consider something else. So this is why if we range, the probabilities, if we continue ranging throughout the next, couple of days, the probabilities increase for the bulls even more. Because if this is your leading way, you cannot dance around here for 5-6 times longer than your impulsive move down. It's just going to be too long, and that's when you need to start considering the different three-wave structures in this area, which that's where we build up the other different scenario here, right? which is a larger 𝗬𝗍𝗍, and this comes after a leading move to the upside, big sideways correction. And for the simple players out there, right, you could just say this is forming a channel. You know, this is a bull flag. Screw you and your Elliott wave and probabilities. This is a bull flag. It's gonna break out to the upside. Screw your stupid analysis here. Well, this, you know, we just take the different scenarios into consideration, right? But you know, for anybody that's just saying, you know, this is just bull flag after bull flag, right? But yeah, this is a bunch of BS if you ask me, right? It could play out eventually. You're in a bull market, so the probabilities is that we do actually go to higher levels. But this is the moment that we need to be a little bit cautious based on the movement to the downside. If you told me I was bullish in this range, and I was bullish, very bullish in this range as well, to take out the highs consistently, because the movements to the downside were very corrective, very rangy. This movement up right there, very rangy. No major move to the downside that looked impulsive. But up here, this rejection, yeah, you can count this as an impulsive move down. So that's what changes from this range. And that's why, you know, I don't lean on the scenario of, you know, bull flag and we're going to break up. I'm taking really seriously here both scenarios, the bullish and the bearish one. So if the price were to develop, as I'm going to explain, in the next 24 to 48 hours, give or take a couple of days, if the price is going to develop based on the information that we have, like I'm going to explain right over here on this video, on this live stream, we could be looking for a very explosive move to the upside to break out all-time high. So the price needs to develop in this way. And there's only two scenarios, okay? From the highs here, you do have a low, a lower high, and a lower low, which automatically, you know, gives you the possibility of counting this as a three-wave structure. You can count this as an impulse, okay? We do have that scenario. But if we continue ranging, we're going to be increasing the probability for the bulls here. If we were to continue ranging in this kind of price action that I'm going to explain today, right now, on the higher time frame, which is a large 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗍. And if we form a large 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗍 in this range, we're not counting this as a bearish move and a leading move down. But we need a little bit of more sideways momentum, okay, in the range. Basically, from this low and this high, we need to still maintain in this area for the next 24 to 48 hours, okay? So it's important that we do maintain in this zone to really understand that the probabilities of this is increasing, and then what we're looking at is all-time high, okay? But we still need that 24 to 48 hour price action to be confident on this happening, right? So let's talk about, and eventually this would be a bullish consolidation for the average Joe. We'll just call it, it's a bullish pennant or a flag. But for the more aggressive people that want to understand exactly what's going on, well, what we're looking at is a possible larger 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗍 sideways corrective move, where we have the zigzag ABC. We had throughout the last 2 days another zigzag structure, which we take into consideration the bearish case, which was this one right over here. But it's not looking too great for the bears with the drop that we're having. Drop has got no power. There's no power on the drop, okay? This is why we're taking this into consideration. So what are the different waves that could be developing here in the next 1 to 2 days to finish this Y move? Well, there's only two. as we've had a zigzag in your wave W, we cannot form another zigzag here. Okay, so what we would be looking at is a possible flat, and this is going to get people absolutely crazy because, you know, if we were to move up from here to take out the highs, there is a possibility that this comes back down to claim the lows. If the price action does develop like this, guys, remember, I do not know what's going to happen. We have several scenarios on how the price action could develop. Sometimes a lot of them align very, very nicely. Like, you know, even here, the bullish or the bearish case, we're aligning. It doesn't matter. This is a zone to short. We're looking for a double top here, right? This is the general idea. The bearish and bullish case on the higher time frame, you know, it doesn't matter. They both talk about a rejection from this zone. This is the bullish one. This was the bearish one. Both of them, you know, they both have the same story at this, you know, at this, you know, at this period of time, right? They both have the same story. We're looking for a rejection in this area, right? And which did end up in that double top. So if the price were to move up here, we do have a bullish case scenario, right? So this is not going to be a very interesting long position, right? We do have that bullish case, which is you're looking at this as a 1-1-2. I'm not sure if my head is in the middle here, but we do have the 1-2-1-2 scenario. So, you know, getting into a short here is going to be not going to be an easy task. You know, you can, I did say that this could be a valid short if we were to come up there. If you get a swing failure pattern, you got a massive point of control from this zone. The bearish case is still valid, you know, moving up here to get that leg down as explained on the previous scenarios. But you want to see a rejection. You know, it's a bit of a sniper trade. Swing failure pattern from yesterday's highs, point of control, right? And, you know, rejection from the 7-8 Fibonacci, literally from the highs to the lows. It's a valid short. You know, let's leave it that way. If you do reject from this zone, your stop loss gets above the high. There's no more to it. It doesn't matter if this scenario plays out or not. But, you know, this is a very good resistance level. And, you know, it would be a swing failure pattern level. You have many scenarios based on Elliott wave theory that this zone could get rejected. You have the naked point of control from this consolidation. And you also have the 7-8 Fibonacci from the highs to the lows, right, of this range. So it's a resistance zone, right? It's resistance. You know, the only way, the problem is here where people get wrecked is that they'll jump into a short position, either here or wherever, and they won't have a stop loss, or they will add to their short, you know, and they'll just believe that the price is going to roll over. Because if you're a perma bear and you don't have analysis, you don't have levels, and you don't have a trading plan with good risk management, you are destined to fail. You're going to fail bad, right? It's just, you know, if you're trading with no plans and just purely based on sentiment, you know, perma bears are having a very bad time in the bull run, right? The people that are bearish because of recession and, oh my goodness, it's so bad, it's unsustainable, and whatever nonsense they have, if they're trading based on that, as a, you know, I'm building up a swing trade or something, they're having a very bad time. You know, I would say they're very wrecked. What we talk about here is trading plans. We know where to enter if we do reject. We do know where to put our stop loss, which is literally above the high of the rejection. If we don't have a rejection, we don't have a stop loss. If you break out, then you break out, right? There's no entry because you don't have a stop loss level. So, I mean, this level for an attempt of a short locally is totally fine. You're managing risk like you should be doing. It is big resistance, and you have several scenarios to get the rejection at this point anyway. So it's a setup. It's a possible plan, you know, that could be hit in the next 1 to 2 days. So yeah, I am in long positions. I'm more interested in longs. I am maintaining longs, and but I am interested in looking for shorts. And these shorts have very good risk management, right? Whoever comes in and says, you're bearish, you're getting wrecked with your shorts, get to short the market, please, because you're creating liquidity. I'm going to say, I long almost every single day. Right? Don't try and clown me, because I can show you all of the different longs and, in the different positions that I'm in internally. And we are looking for long positions. Okay. So don't try and clown me when we talk about short positions, right? Because you'll look silly. We're looking at setups here. They're day trading setups. So it's a possible level where the price could get rejected. With this, eventually this would end up being bullish. If we reject from this pivot and we come back down to sweep up the local lows in this kind of formation, so say that we sweep up the highs of yesterday, the price gets a dump for whatever reason, right? And it drops down to sweep up the lows of today. We have a very interesting sideways corrective, complex correction here, right? In a 𝗖𝗆𝗆𝗽. This would be the insane long position, because not only we could be targeting all-time high, I mean, eventually as your TP1, but this could be another swing trade that you actually get to 114, 115. This is the zone where you're interested in another swing long position. Right? Imagine people that want to get into long positions here somewhere, right? They're long in the uptrend, or they're long in here, or they're long in, here or here. They're going to have a bad time, with their position. They're going to get emotional, if they don't have a plan. But when you have the end of the structure developed, you can be very much more confident, right, in this scenario. So if we take out yesterday's highs and we take out today's lows, in the next 1 to 2 days, this could be a massive sideways corrective complex correction, okay, that will end up being part of the next large wave to the upside. It will be a part of the next big major wave to the upside here. And not only all-time high, I would say that this is actually going to break several $1,000s above all-time high. It's actually going to break out if the price ends up developing this kind of structure, okay? Which is taking out the highs and taking out the lows. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if we take out yesterday's highs and next step, we take out yesterday's lows, and the price manages to get back above, if the price moves like this, I'm extremely interested in longing in this zone with stop loss at the low here. So, I mean, I don't know if the price is going to move like this, right? Let's keep it clear. But if it does move like this, I'm extremely interested in another long position in this zone, just because we have, complex 𝗖𝗆𝗆𝗽, which is, moving with three-wave structures, right? You've got that three-wave move down, three-wave move up, and then eventually you would be expecting this complex flat kind of price action. We do have the stock market open, so we're going to get, looks like we're getting a little bit of volatility right now as we speak. Let's just double check here what's going on with the NASDAQ. It is getting a little pump here on the open. Bitcoin is getting a little drop, very locally, very not much volatility going on here. Very rangy, very rangy. Yeah, it does look good for Bitcoin, huh? It does look good for Bitcoin. This is very reversal kind of price action. You're wicking out the lows, wick, right? Wick, move down, wick. You would expect the price to attempt to break out here to the upside. It's very, very reversal kind of price action. Of course, it creates the confusion, right? It creates the confusion before it reverses, but this is natural, right? You want that confusion here. Confusion, confusion, confusion. And then you get the reversal. Let's go right away and talk about the other scenario. We've got the NASDAQ pumping a little bit. Stock is pumping. Now, we do have some higher time frame highs here. Will we manage to break out from the highs of last week's price action? Will we manage to break out those highs from last week? We are attempting right now. So let's go with the other scenarios here. On the bullish case, okay? There's more scenarios here. Bear with me here, guys. We haven't finished yet. Right? We haven't finished yet. So the best scenario for that swing trade, guys, as mentioned, one of them is taking out the highs, taking out the lows. We kind of continuing the range. Oh my goodness, I'm so confused. What's going on? You know, this would be the golden ticket here for the long. This would be the golden ticket because you're literally looking for that flat structure here. Is it going to move like that? Maybe the bearish case is going to play out. Maybe we are going to, you know, dump down. But you're ready. You have a plan here. It's one plan that you can have in your trading book. You just need to wait for the scenario. And, you know, I would be happy to get into some pretty big position here to see if I can, you know, make some pretty nice gains. So it's an idea. It's a scenario that could happen in the next couple of days, 1 to 2 days. Another scenario on how the price could develop here in this WXY, if we are going to continue ranging, right? And the flat is part of the range eventually, right? The flat is still part of continuing the range. What we want to see on the other scenario is a triangle formation. A triangle formation here in the next couple of days, give or take 24, 48 hours, where you probably have your first movement down here. Very possible. You move up, you get resistance here. You move down, you possibly form a higher low, or maybe your triangle does extend. You know, there's several ways on this how it can develop. It can be a very, very large triangle where you just do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, right? And it forms a very, very large triangle here throughout the next couple of days. And then it breaks out, right, to the upside. But we want to see the range continuing. You want a few lower highs. So what you want to see from this pivot is 2 more lower highs and 2 higher lows forming here. If the price were to continue ranging like this with 2 lower highs and 2 higher lows, you know, what we would be looking at is this WXY with the Y forming a triangle. But that eventually is very, very, you know, it's speculative. You would have to wait for that price action getting developed. Price is getting a little bit of a drop right now. A little bit of a drop. We do possibly have price has failed for the moment. To get above that VWAP, anchored VWAP, previous day open, previous day value area low. I wanted to see the price already pushing through. If we do get a consolidation here in this range, then, you know, I would be happy to attempt another long, right? We want to see a bit of a back test of this low. So let's see how the price action develops here, because if we just nuke down, eventually I'm not interested in the long here. So let's see how the price does. Yeah, we oh my goodness, you know, it did not manage to get above that resistance here locally. It did not manage to get above that resistance, which was a shame. Let's take a look at the CVD here. We're probably having some shorts entering the market. It might be just a quick wick. Yeah, let's take a look at CVD divergence. Yeah, we are getting some bullish CVDs right now, which is quite good. We are getting some bullish CVD divergence, which could give us a possible long trigger. We just got stopped out here at break even. Let's analyze the local time frame here. Yeah, that daily open. Screw you, daily open. My scalp position got stopped out at break even. It was a good attempt to break out, but it did not. Daily open in previous day value area low, providing that resistance. Yeah, it's going to be interesting right now. Price stopping in this range for the next coming minutes. Get a bit of a reaction. Get a bit of a reaction here. It might be a good long position if we do hold on this area. But we need to hold. If we do not hold, not interested in the long. It's dropping pretty aggressively. Already hitting the 0.88. No bueno, no bueno. It could be a, you know, we do have some pretty interesting bullish CVD divergence here. Pretty interesting bullish CVDs. In this zone. Lots of shorts entering here. We do have them on Bybit, and we do have them throughout the rest of exchanges. So we got some very interesting short positions entering the market here. This could actually hold. Very, very strong bullish CVDs. It's probably the, you know, the little trap scenario. Wick, 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 retracement, and then the breakout. So I have to say it's a valid long position still here with the bullish CVDs. It's a valid long position with stop loss at the low of today. Lots of shorts entering the market. I'm not sure if the Nasdaq did get a drop here. Yeah, it's rejecting from those highs. You know, this is not the best level if when we take into consideration the Nasdaq, because Nasdaq is hitting some highs, right? If we would have been in the middle of the uptrend, then you would say, yeah, you know, let's try and hit those highs. We got some more upside momentum, but the Nasdaq forming a double top. And I have to say, I'm the kind of guy that says we still incredibly correlated with the stock market here, guys. Okay, we still incredibly correlated with the stock market. If stock market takes a dump, then Bitcoin will follow. I'm sorry, right? Bitcoin is not that safe haven just yet. Just yet. It might be in the coming years, but if the stock market gets a rejection in the next coming days, right, double top scenario, then, you know, if the market were to drop down in the next coming days, Bitcoin follows. I'm sorry, right? I'm the kind of guy that it's just been like that always. It's always been like that. There has been some weeks that it has kind of decoupled sometimes, but overall, usually it does follow. Right now with this double top here on the local price action on the Nasdaq, yeah, pretty nasty, pretty nasty. We just tested the highs of last week and it's getting a little bit of a swing failure pattern, unfortunately. So you know, we might see some selling pressure kicking in here on the Nasdaq as it tested the highs, which is no bueno. No bueno. So yeah, let's go through the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin just lots of bullish CVDs, lots of shorts entering the market right now. Maybe so we got some news coming out. Today's news, we do have FOMC minutes, guys, so make sure to trade safe. You know, this is at 10 p.m. UAE time if you are going to be trading. You know, you want to, we might get some volatility. It might be a big fat nothing burger. I'm sure there's going to be your favorite YouTuber that's going to be going through the funk minutes. I don't think I'll be going live throughout that time. Well, yeah, this is looks like the trap zone. Get you very bearish here. Stop everybody out that's trying to long. And, you know, I would say that this is a valid level. Valid level. Your stop loss is literally at the low. Right? This could be the moment that the price does get that reversal from this zone. VWAP was lost. Also, thing is, you can get into a very, very small position here. Let me go right away through the comment. VWAP was lost. I would give this a valid. It's, you know, sometimes we do see a front run of the lows. We do get the chop here again. Is it going to be another chop? Even considering a swing failure pattern here from these lows. This is really, really kind of reversal price action. This is really, really reversal price action here. So it's either double bottom right over here, or a higher low. Of course, you want to maintain that risk as well here. I would rather get into a double bottom and get stopped out if we do take out the lows. If we take out the lows, I would trigger another long position here. It doesn't matter, right? You just don't know if it's going to form a higher low, or if it's going to SFP and then move up, or if it's going to break down. You want to maintain risk regardless. But this would be the overall idea, you know, giving the chance of the price just almost taking out the low here, or taking out the low and get into a double bottom. It doesn't matter, right? So, you know, yeah, I would say that this could be that little shakeout from all of the longs. You know why the price moves like this? Because there's people like you and me wanting to try to long in this area, right? You know, you need to come to that conclusion that people want to long this reversal price action. And of course, market makers, right, are not letting you. They're gaining your liquidity. But it doesn't matter if you manage risk, right? I would say either this or the double bottom. If we wick down the low, I would consider this a potential double bottom. Also, another one. Get that wick and then get the reversal. It's either this one or it's either this one. I don't care. It's going to pay off the stop loss regardless of which one plays out, right? So, and if it breaks down, if it does break down, if the price were to break down, then eventually you're not holding a loss here, right? You're getting stopped out and you don't enter the position again, right? So, you know, if we do go back to the 5-minute time frame, I was going to say, if you do break down, I would really not want to be, I wouldn't be interested in trying to catch any long position in this area, because you got the 7/8 Fibonacci from this pivot low of yesterday to the pivot high. If you break down below, I mean, we know the 0.88 is a respected level. If we break down from here, I would give the 0.88 a chance. I would give a 0.88 a chance, okay? So that's taking the low to the highs of yesterday, right? Yesterday's lows and to yesterday's highs. And if we do not if we do break down from today's lows and get stopped out of this position, the only level that I mean, obviously the double bottom is very possible, but if we do continue that movement down, I would give a chance to the 0.88. And I would be looking for a possible larger bounce here, okay? You know, it's either this one or it's this one. Obviously, the double bottom is also a possibility, right? Wherever that low is. And I would really attempt the breakout of the daily open and you know, the previous day value area low. Two levels here. Two scenarios that I would be interested in. And eventually, if you break down, you don't do anything, right? If you break down, you don't re-enter any trade or anything. You just wait for a reaction on one of the levels. Oof, we're getting the breakdown. We're getting the breakdown. Yeah, it's moving down now pretty aggressively. Yeah, it's probably going to be a local double bottom here. This could be the double bottom. I mean, there's lots of shorts been entering here, the market. Yeah, this could be the one. What is NASDAQ doing? NASDAQ. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Bit of a rejection on the NASDAQ. Not looking too great. Not much of a bounce here. Not much of a bounce going on, unfortunately. Yeah, it doesn't want to double bottom. It doesn't want to double bottom. It's trying to, but it's not. It's trading beneath the level at the moment. It's trading beneath the lows of today, so it is kind of breaking down. So not interested, no longer in this trade. It is breaking down, so yeah, out of this trade. We want to see some kind of a reaction in this area, either the 0.88. .88 is your last level here, because if you take out this low, then no swing failure pattern for me in this area. I mean, it could be that it does swing failure pattern from this low right over here, but it was a shame. I mean, still in that long position from lower. I do not want to take more profits because I've taken most of the profits from that long. Yeah, I want to maintain some of that long open that we have from Sunday evening. But yeah, price is not holding here. It just looks like it wants to roll down. 0.88 could be a risky one. Could be a very risky one. Dumping down here. I do not want to be part of this falling knife at the moment. So I mean, this low, this low is interesting, just because we do have the value area low of this entire range. This low is quite interesting. But yeah, in this area, we're below the 7/8 Fibonacci at the moment. We don't have much of support in this zone, so I'm not really that interested at the moment, even though it could bounce, but I just don't have it could double bottom from the lows right now. 0.88 not hit. Yeah, still maintaining beneath this low of today. So yeah, I'm not interested in this falling knife at the moment, of course. I want to see a little bit of a recovery above the level, and then we can consider the possible movement up. But right now, still beneath the low. We don't have really much support in this area, so it just doesn't become a good long in zone at the moment with this drop. So no double bottom, no SFP. It's just dropping in this zone. So this eventually, you need to lead the way. You need to give the way here for the bears. You need to give the way for the bears here. Not interested in catching this movement. It might reclaim the low. If it does reclaim the low, then I would consider that possibility of the long position. But as we're beneath the level, not interested at the moment. But it could be the moment. Yeah, I don't want to close my long position because I know the bullish case scenario is still very much intact, guys. This is from the higher time frame scenarios. Okay, I don't want to close that long position from here. Eventually, I don't want to short down here. So still giving possibility of foot for the bull still. This price action is not really that. It doesn't look intimidating. It doesn't look that intimidating on the bearish case. So, for me, I will maintain some of that long position from this area, even though most of the profits have been taken. But it's worth maintaining still some of that long position from this zone. So yeah, there's no quick long here at the moment. We are beneath the levels, beneath the lows of today. We do not have much support, unfortunately, in this area. What we do have is the value area low. This could be an interesting level for a swing failure pattern. This could be an interesting level. Right now in this area, it's not looking. Yeah. I mean, this is not intimidating price action. A recovery beneath the low could be definitely the option here for that movement up to then finally break out. Daily open, previous day value area low. Yeah, it's probably gonna manage to recover right now. For all of those pattern traders, it is a bit of a descending broadening wedge. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, it could bounce from this zone right now. We managed to get back above that low. A little bit of it's very, very reversal price action. It's not really intimidating as a bearish move here. It is really, really reversal kind of price action. I already got stopped out once on this trade. Now, this could be the one. This could be the one that actually gets the bounce. Because overall, this structure doesn't make sense for it to really break down, okay? This is not really much of a pullback from the movement down. It does look part of the movement down, which is either A, B, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in a expanding move, or part of the ABC. Still, it just still looks like part of the move to the downside. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. There's really not much support in this area. There's really not much that we can count on for support in this zone. We do have the value area low, which is with yesterday's lows. Would I consider that level a swing failure pattern? We do have that naked point of control from this consolidation. Yeah. It could be, this is no doubt there is support here. This is without a doubt a zone to get that bounce. Let's take a look at the liquidity heat map and see if we are sweeping some liquidity here. And then we'll go through the comment section. We are sweeping some liquidity. My liquidity. Yeah, we still do have quite a bit of more liquidity here to the downside. Yeah, lots of liquidity here for the moment. Not really much support in this area, which is dangerous eventually as we're getting this movement down. Local swing failure pattern was a good attempt, but it did not succeed in breaking up. So little movement down. We do not have much support in this area, so it really becomes a dangerous zone at the moment to speculate on longs if we don't recover from the lows, right? From the lows of today. There's really not much going on here in this area apart from the 0.88, which, the 0.88 on its own doesn't provide, too much confluence. Sometimes 0.88 works like magic. Will this be the case where the 0.88 does get the bounce? You need to take that with a grain of salt eventually. Let's go right away through the comment section. 97 BTC trap. Welcome to the crypto world. Whenever in doubt, buy. I like to buy strong support, strong levels. Today's scalp trading setup was a good idea. It did go in favor, but we just got lots of resistance at the daily open and the previous day value area low, and then price did get rejection to test the lows of today, right? And we are not having much support here, and we're not recovering from today's lows, which is what you would want to see here for a reversal. We are beneath today's lows for the moment. It is a kind of a zone where the price could, kind of get a big recovery in this area. It's the kind of level where the price suddenly recovers out of nowhere, right? And this does look very descending, broadening wedge. Got a nice descending, broadening wedge structure here. So it is the zone where it could get a bounce. There's no doubt about it. But as we are beneath the lows of today, we're not, this is like the ultimate level for the bullish case. Not hitting the 0.88 Fibonacci. Still at the 7.8 Fibonacci. From this overall move to the upside from yesterday. Boop, 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 boop. It's kind of the last zone for the bulls locally anyway to step in, right? Let me know in the comment section, will this level, legends, what is this dump? The dump is happening. Do not expecting this dump locally. So anyway, let's go right away. Mark Dutch, my man, much love to you, brother. I think Andy deserves more likes. Let's see how many likes we do have, because we do have almost 1,000 people watching the stream. So let's get that like button absolutely destroyed. Let's see if this does maintain as support, at least get back above the lows of today. It doesn't, for the moment, we're in a bit of no man's land. It either gets back above today's lows. I don't like this area. This area is pretty dull area where you just have a poor low here, which is not providing us any good confluence, right? No major support here. And this is not bueno. This is no bueno. If, it's a pretty empty zone, which I do not like to speculate. If we get back above the low, then I would say, yeah, this looks pretty good. But right now we've lost the low. This is an empty area. Look at this. There's a poor low here, not giving any good structure. So it's a pretty empty area, which eventually doesn't give you a great option for the long here, basically. Even though, we understand that it could suddenly bounce out of nowhere, because this structure to the downside doesn't look... It wouldn't make sense if the price does drop from here, right? This kind of structure is not intimidating. What is intimidating here is no support, which is the issue right now here. I think if we get back above today's lows, it could be a recovery scenario. If we get back above today's lows and sweeping up the highs, breaking out, the point of control. I mean, this is the point of control of the entire range, which is eventually providing that resistance. It did provide support yesterday with the drop. We did have this large consolidation right now, so this is going to be a little bit of a barrier, but we would like to see that level being broken. So let's see those like buttons. Let's get to 500 likes. Long time amigo. We got Crypto by 𝗞𝗐, dump it. Crypto by 𝗞𝗐 wants the price to dump. I am still in a long position from lower, and I need the price to pump. I'm going to still leave that position. I mean, most of the profits have been taken, but I'm going to leave it open to see if the bullish case can still, take out the local highs of yesterday. Legends, if you are interested in trading, remember that Bluffin gives you 15% cash back at the moment, guys. I'm not in a short position. You want to be in that short, being interested in shorts. Some people are saying, yeah, get into short positions yesterday so we can, you can be liquidity. Maybe the short position is going to play out. Maybe the drop is going to play out from the original scenario that we mentioned, throughout a few days ago, right? When we didn't even have the B wave or the C wave created. Maybe this is what's unfolding, guys, and I didn't get into the bloody damn short. But there will be time to get into a short later on. We just need a little bit of, clear downtrend pressure. But whoever, as mentioned yesterday, whoever got into the short here, you want to keep some of that short open, right? Because this could be the swing short. Right? Just like I want to maintain some of this long open, because this could be the swing long, right? It might, move to the upside. We continue ranging in this area. I'm interested in having some of that long, because realizing the bullish case, it could still be, you want to have some open. And if you shorted here yesterday in this rejection, somebody said this in the comment section, you want to take some profits because it does look like it could reverse from here. You're finding support, you're forming reversal price action. But if you got into the short here, I would leave some open, right? I would leave some open. Take profits eventually. We do have lots of bullish case scenarios still that could be in play. But leave it open, because if the original narrative here of the price rejecting from here, right, and moving down, this is a swing short, right? The price, you're in a very good position. Somebody told me in the comment section that he's in a short from $110,000, right? Basically the rejection from yesterday's highs, from the highs of Monday, sorry. I mean, this could end up in the next coming days being a drop of $6, $7, $8, maybe $10,000. Who knows, right? So you want to maintain some of that short open, realizing that there is that bearish scenario, which was overall the original case here from the analysis a few days ago, right? Anyway, let's go through the comment section. Mark Dutch giving love and power. Dump it more. Come on, man. I don't want it to dump more. Yes, long is real. Enter. It's all perfect planned. It's all perfectly planned for the bearish case scenario. Yeah, this is a dull zone here, guys. It's not good. We don't have any support in this zone. So, you know, the support that you have here is, you know, praying for the Virgin Mary and saying, let's please get a bounce, because on the charts, we really don't have any support here, unfortunately. So, you know, there's nothing here that can provide us support right now, which is obviously not making it a good option to get into the long, right? I mean, but this has to be the zone that gets the bounce. So maybe they're playing around here, getting people fearful like myself, right? I'm still in that long position from lower. I just don't like the long here right now. If we do get back above the low, I would consider the long position to sweep up the lower highs. But I want to see the bull stepping in a little bit, right? Show me some proof of support. Show me something. I need the bulls to show me something right now, and showing me something would be getting back above the lows locally here. Then that would be something at least. So let's go quickly through the comment section. Let's try and get to 500 likes. Open along and get some action. Yeah. We do not have any support here, legend. And we're breaking the current lows of today. Whoever got into the long short trade yesterday, somebody in the comment section, this might be an epic short trade. Swing trade short. This is the thing, right? When you're in a bull run, if you're in a short position from this area, I would definitely leave some open for the coming days, just in case the bearish case does happen, right? Just in case, you know, we've been talking about this throughout the last few days, and it's going to happen in front of my face, and I didn't get into the goddamn short position. Can you believe that? Is that possible? Right? For fuck's sake, legends. Missed out the goddamn short from my own analysis. Fucking idiot. The overall general idea that we've been speaking out for days on the bearish case scenario here, since we were trading in this zone, talking about this fucking scenario and not getting into, I mean, I did sell some Bitcoin at least. And it's going to come to fruition. It is going to come to fruition in the end. Fuck's sake. It's going to end up rolling down. No, it's not. We're going to see some support at some stage. We're going to see that reversal. I think we're probably going to range. This is a zone that I'm literally not interested in doing anything. We need to see some kind of a reversal bounce. Get back above today's lows at least. This is a zone which I'm not interested in doing absolutely anything. Hang on a minute. Let's take a look at the overall trend line from... This might be easier than we thought, guys. Let's take a look at that overall trend line. Because this is a trend line that looks very interesting. Not that one. This one. There is a steep higher low trend line that looks quite interesting. this higher time frame trend line does look a little bit aggressive. We are literally breaking higher time frame trend line from the lows created here at 74,000, right? This ain't looking too great, as in, you know, higher low support. And we have the drop breaking right now. Who got into the short position the last few days? Well, yesterday, really. Congratulations. Very good. Very good to maintain some of that short. Because the bulls right now are... Only joking, guys. I'm making all of this fear nonsense. I think we could be still ranging for the next coming days. We do have the value area low of this entire trading zone. But that breakout of the trend of the higher time frame, right? This is... You don't like that higher time frame trend break here. I think it is going to be ranging a little bit. If we do hold and we bounce from here, then obviously that's good for the bulls. We're just in the middle of these poor lows, man. This is just an area that I'm not interested in doing anything. We got the poor lows right there, no support, hitting the 0.88 right now. Just a really a zone that's no business here to be made. There's no strategy, no business here to be made. 0.88 cross through. There's just no support here at this zone. Really an area I would be, you know, with this, I would be tempted if we sweep up this low with the value area low of this entire zone. We want to be careful with that overall bearish scenario here. We want to be careful with that, you know, that overall higher time frame trend line. This higher time, you know what would be the most bearish case scenario ever? Is, and I wasn't leaning on this, eventually, with the original narrative that we had from the last few days, don't want to panic anybody here. We you know, the probabilities of ranging still here, still there, but it would be interesting. Higher time frame, multi-monthly, higher low. That is just literally, when you connect this, guys, you can do that on Tradingview right now as you watch. You've been supported from this higher low trend line, also back in you know, the 19th of May right there. Also almost on last Sunday. But we know that, you know, these higher trend line support levels that get that epic dump, right? When you have that overall higher time frame major support level and it's at the support and it suddenly gets that epic dump. I mean, this would be the moment to do that when we are leaning on this scenario. If it were to be a one wave, a second wave, and you're forming your wave 3 right now, right? And that would be devastating, right? Because it could, you know, that would be the confirmation that we are going to get a larger correction throughout the summer, right? Instead of counting the bearish case here, which is, instead of counting the corrective structure, I don't want to get anybody fearful here, but instead of counting the ABC and then a movement up, this has a one wave, a second wave, and then the third wave, and it actually, you know, comes into fruition with that uptrend structure. People are going to be like freaking out. You know, what if? What if this original analysis, instead of being an ABC movement, is a 1, 2, 3, you know, 4, 5, we do actually get below 100K. and maybe even lower. There's not panic, everybody, right? You're getting panicked here as the movement drops. Look at the bounce that's going to happen right now. Epic bounce is on the formation. Stop talking about the bearishness as the price is dropping. We are doing just fine. I hope so. I hope that all of the different bullish scenarios do happen. I mean, right now we are decreasing in possibilities. It could still be a flat as well. Not taking this into consideration. This could still be a flat right over here. It would be cheeky if you didn't get here to the lows. Preferably you do sweep up that low with the value area low. This is why this becomes an interesting setup. This becomes an interesting setup here. But oh my goodness, just considering the bearish case, really interesting range right now, because we have the bullish one, the bullish scenario, which is an ABC. You got your wave 1, wave 2 for a flat here is definitely an option. But yeah, understanding the risk of the bearish case, you want to be extremely cautious. Not cautious, just manage risk very well here. On understanding the bearish case, right? Which is this one right over here. Not this one. I really don't like this structure. It looks like a piece of crap. This structure does look like a piece of crap. This movement down, really bad structure. Yeah, we just want to realize that the there is a bearish case scenario. There is a bearish case scenario. If we continue ranging, we do form support, there will be a much easier setup here, because we might be forming that triangle as mentioned here, right, as well. If we do get a bounce at some stage here, right, and then we get a rejection, and then we just continue this range, then eventually what we're looking at here would be looking at a bullish WXY structure in that triangle. But price is moving down a bit aggressive at the moment, so we need to see that proof of support in a little bit of a range in the coming days. Then we can be confident that the bullish case is going to happen. But if we do not bounce and continue the range, I'm gonna lean on the bearish case with this very crappy price action. And I was really supporting the idea that that we're not that the probabilities in dropping down from this area was not looking too great. Was really looking for a small little reversal in this zone, as you do know. So Andy is turning into a bear. I'm just realizing the bearish case scenario. We need to drop at least another $900, says Mark Dutch. Very possible. Very possible. I mean, we do have the value area low over this entire trading zone. Another $900 would be sweeping up the lows of the range here. I mean, we do have the lows of yesterday. We do love highs and lows, guys, from the previous day, right? Because, you do get those swing failure patterns, right? Especially if it's the value area high. This low could be the interesting bounce zone. Sweep up the lows and then head up for the bounce. So it is a trading plan. If you swing failure pattern, it's we know that we know the idea here. Value area high and the highs of Monday, lows of yesterday. If it sweeps the lows, it could get that really nice bounce, at least to the point of control. But in this green box area, it's like, you got very poor lows here, which is not providing any support. Even though if the price does bounce from here, it's just not an easy. It's not a long for me. There's no strategy there for me to get into a long at this zone. And putting a stop loss at the lows, it's like, and then the price does this, stops you out, and then gets the bounce, and you're like, that wasn't very smart, was it? So, understanding that, it can bounce from here, but preferably a sweep of the lows would be the best option for a trading setup. Maybe more aggressive traders would say, it's gonna bounce. We're in a bull market. We ain't gonna drop down. This needs to hold. I'm not liking it. The lows that we have from Tuesday, this is very, very poor lows. And by poor lows, I mean there's no structure. There's no good support to rely on till you actually hit the lows. If it bounces from here, where it's like, well, that was lucky, it got the bounce. But it's really not a zone that I would be interested in taking along, because I don't have anything. There's nothing here. So next level of interest would be the lows and the value area low for a possible swing failure pattern. Let's see if that does develop. And if the price does drop down with an increased amount of volume and does not get a reaction from here, then I have to say it's game on for the bears. It's game on for the bears, right? Which is literally looking at this as that overall general idea of getting the drop on this bearish case scenario, right? But let's not get too bearish just yet. And let's go through the comment section and say hello to the epic community. I would prefer the bulls holding this zone and getting an epic bounce and continue the range for the different bullish case scenarios, because I want to make as much as I can with the rest of the long position that I have in this range. So hopefully the bullish case scenario is could happen, but not looking too great, guys. Remember that you do have an insane bonus on bluffing, guys. It's 15% cashback on your initial deposit. You will get more on top of your deposit, up to $5,000 maximum. Okay, if you deposit $20,000, you'll be getting $2,000 on top of that, above $2,000 actually, $3,000, and it increases your capital. You get fee discount also on weeks. Okay, great option on weeks, because you have 20% deposit rewards. You got $30,000 in different rewards as well. Okay, the more you trade, the more airdrops you're going to get. And you get 25% fee reduction on your trading setups, guys. On your trades, 25% fee reduction. And you just need an email and a password to sign up on Weeks Legends, okay? I told you people. Somebody saying that I told you. How's the CVD looking? The pending CVD. We're getting some open interest here, increasing. People are interested in shorting. Open interest is going up as the price is going down, which we do not want to see. CVD. I mean, you do want to see that if you're a bear, right? If you're in short positions. Remember to buy low and sell high. And if you have been buying Bitcoin throughout the last few years, we are high right now, right? Can we go to 120, 130, 140 like we get a lot of people talking about? Well, it would make sense. We're still very uptrending. But it's time to sell some. For me, it was time to sell some Bitcoin, because I've been buying Bitcoin since it was at, $6,000, $7,000. When will Bitcoin dominance go down when altcoin season? Well, if Bitcoin is going down while the Bitcoin dominance is going up, then it's crappy season. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be crappy season for altcoins. if we do get Bitcoin going down. I mean, dominance is going down a little bit. Yeah, but nothing too aggressive, huh? Yeah, if Bitcoin goes down in the next coming weeks, based on the bearish case scenario, yeah, don't expect altcoins to, you know, Bitcoin needs to range. Bitcoin literally needs to range. 𝗬cie, US stock at resistance. BTC is advancing the possible drop. Yeah, this is something also that we were looking at. It's not good for the NASDAQ to be hitting the previous week highs, because this is you know, the danger of this is a local double top, at least a local one, right? Regardless if we correct and then we move up. But for the moment, we're testing the previous week highs on the NASDAQ, and we already getting that little reaction, and it kind of, Bitcoin's not liking this double top. So yeah, not nice, right? Not nice to be hitting the double top here locally on the NASDAQ. If NASDAQ does get that double top and it gets the pullback, we're going to see Bitcoin pulling back as well, legends. Let's get to 500 likes. We will continue. You know, I've only a long setup right now. I didn't get into the short position, and I am very much aware of the bearish case scenario here, legends, and the price dropping. Been talking about the shorts here throughout the last couple of days analysis. I mean, it was not, you know, for me, it was not easy. Not easy. But you know, I should have got into a small short here just to hedge the long position, even though the long position taken most of the profits. Really, I did, you know, would have made another 5-10k if we would have got to the highs. But yeah, anyway, $12,000 profit is pretty nice regardless in just a couple of days. But it would have been nice to make an extra 10,000, and I should have got into that short, but it was not clear for me on the short position here, even though I was talking about the analysis, right? Naked point of control was front runned. You know, the price was moving with high volume at the end. You know, the volume was increasing here on this latest move to the upside on the lower time frame, which kind of, you know, makes sense for that ABC. You know, it does make sense for an ABC to finish with high volume. The C wave finish with high volume. So stay cautious. I don't want to make, you know, I don't want to panic people here, but it's starting to become a little bit, be aware of the bearish case, guys, okay? Because this is a zone where maybe some people are going to be like, I'm interested in longing. You know, this is just a correction. And remember, you know, what could happen here based on the analysis that we were talking about the last few days, right? You might think, are you in the short? No, I'm not. I'm not in the short, but there might be time to get into the short depending on the structure. I mean, nothing is for sure right now with that the price is going to drop down. If we do continue the range, I would say that this is going to very possibly be bullish. If we do get the bounce here and we range in the next coming days, I will be leaning on new all-time highs, okay? So for me right now, it's not worth attempting the long in this area as explained. There's just a poor low, there's not support. NASDAQ is at the highs from last week, double top risk. If NASDAQ takes the dump throughout today and tomorrow, Bitcoin will eventually follow, right? So maybe Bitcoin is leading the stock market. So yeah. Let's go. Crypto same. There is a 60-70% chance there'll be a small altcoin season. You can forget about altcoin season. Yeah. Small altcoin season. I mean, we did have a small altcoin season in November. Bulls, step in. Do we have the utter gang? I received bonus from weeks through Andy's referral link. Yes, you do get that bonus, okay? You got some epic bonuses here on weeks, okay? You will receive them, of course. You got, 20% deposit bonus. If you link your phone number, you'll have the chance to win in between $10 and $100. You get, multiple different bonuses and also 25% fee reduction, guys, with the first link down below. Be cautious. And this is a zone that I would be cautious. I'm probably going to get stopped out from the rest of the long position here. The bearish case scenario right now is possible. It's just not a great zone here at the moment if you start dropping down to speculate on catching the falling knife. Just understanding that maybe this has been the ABC or the 1, 2, 3. Okay, so stay cautious. We're not leaning on the possibility here based on the local price action. So whoever got into the short here throughout yesterday's rejection, I have to say, very good indeed. You have a very good position based on the original analysis here from the bearish case. I was laughing yesterday saying, what if this does happen, right? What if we actually follow the drawings here on this, since Monday? Not confirmed here yet, okay? Not confirmed. Anyway, legends, thank you very much for joining today, all right? 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗍, much love to you. Otter gang. Gang. Otter gang from Alex O Crypto. I'm not sure if he's here. I'm not sure if that's because of Alex O, but I know he does like that. The Otter gang. I thought it was from him. Legends, Mark Dutch. Everybody, much love to everybody. Make sure to trade safely. This is really not a zone that I'm interested in the long at the moment. Hopefully we do bounce. If we do get some bullish market structure here, we do get a nice, impulsive move to the upside in a 5-wave structure, then I will consider later on with the Legends trading community, see if we can find some other setups in between today and tomorrow. If you want to join the Discord, remember that you do have the 5th link down below, Legends, okay? It was not easy. Today's analysis, okay, was not easy. Make sure to join the Discord if you want more updates from me and the rest of the coaches. Thank you very much. Smash up that like button. Let's get to 600 likes before we leave, Legends. Thank you. Stay cautious here on Bitcoin. I will see you tomorrow.